and gentlemen, Trump has 19 electoral votes.
Yep.
We believe that that's enough. We're calling it Trump.
We're calling it Trump won. Trump won
every time. So they're calling Indiana. Is that it?
Yeah, Indiana and Kentucky.
And Vermont. But what's weird, I mean, listen,
Vermont is
it's not an unreasonable call, but Google's map says 0% is reporting there, so I don't know.
They're calling Rick Scott for Florida as well. 51%.
Really?
Well, I'm sorry. No, that's front.
Yeah, so we did have a bunch of polls just closed. I think Georgia and Florida, parts of New Hampshire are closed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, the data is coming in.
The road to 270.
This New York Times map is not fun.
What are the best places people can follow along when they want to find like incoming data like this? Are there particular websites?
Well, you can just go to google.com, and it's just 2024 election results, and there's the election map that is being updated as the information comes in.
There's no government website?
No.
This is amazing. 8% and on Florida, it looks like Trump is up 56 to 43, but that's obvious. I mean, Florida is just, it's no longer a swing state.
Yeah, well, you know what? The Google poll I'm seeing, it seems to be going back and forth. It says Florida's at 52% Trump, but with only 19% reporting, so.
Well, right now, I've got, it's saying that, 19%. Okay, yeah.
All we want to know about are the swing states. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Right, so Vermont. Oh, look at that. Data coming in for Georgia. Trump is currently winning 54% with 1,500 votes to Kamala's 1,200. Yeah, I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
We got 23% in Florida. It's 52 to 48 with Trump's lead. I think this one's obviously going to be a very Republican, but who knows, man? As we were just mentioning with Steven Crowder, you would be a fool to think there is no shadow campaign.
That's right.
And I don't know what you do about that.
That's why you want all the votes in day one. I think the Supreme Court's move to nullify any votes that arrive after November 5th makes a lot of sense. It might squeeze a lot of people, but, you know, you don't want the numbers to be there so that you know what you need to change it.
I don't think there are very few legitimate reasons in general to vote by mail-in ballot. Unless you're, like, deployed in the military, like, what else?
I think that should be it.
What else would justify that?
Ben was talking about the way that Florida does it is they count all of their ballots that are mail-in ballots before the day. So everything that should be in by the day of. And if they count everything except for the ones that come in on the actual day, and then they count, so they have those already buttoned up on the day before, then they count the ballots that are done on the actual election day, and then they count whatever came in mail-in ballots. You could feasibly have it done very easily that same night.
This is what
it's just been funny watching this all like go down on Twitter, watching non-Americans comment on it, and they're like, "You guys just leave your votes in a box on the street?"
Yeah, I mean that shouldn't happen.
And I'm like, I agree, it's insane.
It shouldn't happen at all. All of the ballots, in my opinion, I think there should be one day of voting. I think that you should have to go there, and I think you should have to do it by paper.
I was in the Maricopa County Court for the Kerry Lake trial, and we learned that tens of thousands of votes they had no custody of the ballot.
Yeah,
we were caught. Democrat overseers of that election were caught in lies that week, saying that at first they didn't know they printed out the wrong size of the ballot, and then we found out they did know, which obviously nullified the vote. There were so many things just in that county that were a crazy problem. Can't imagine that's not happening elsewhere. And hopefully we fix a lot of that, but the Dominion voting machine should be like a bipartisan issue.
Yeah.
It used to be Elizabeth Warren way back when had a whole problem with Dominion. Right?
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren used to be a Republican too. So.
Right. Yeah, she was also Native American.
That was never a thing.
She's gone.
Guys, jumping over to Polymarket right now, Trump has dropped a few points. He's down to 58.4% chance to win, or I should say the prediction market is leaning to Kamala's 41.8. But here's the best part about Polymarket. Who cares about winning the election? Who's going to be inaugurated as president is the question. And so right now, Donald Trump is at 57.9 to Kamala Harris's 38.3, which is weird because while this market is substantially smaller, there's a difference. 58.8 think Trump will win the election. 57.9 think he'll be inaugurated.
That's funny.
There is a window of Trump might win but not become president.
It's good. When you hear the rhetoric of people like Jamie Raskin, that's a reasonable fear, I think.
But let me throw this in. There is an other with 3.6. Kamala Harris at 41.3 to win the election with other at 3.6. Kamala Harris only at 38.3 to be inaugurated, meaning there is a larger window of Kamala winning the election and not becoming president. I actually think if either scenario could play out, that one makes the most sense. And I'll tell you why. We brought this up when Crowder was on a little bit. Ben Shapiro has his worst case scenario, and he's talking about the census comes in, the data is wrong, the electoral count is wrong. If I believe I may be getting his point correctly, I might be getting it wrong. If Kamala Harris wins with Pennsylvania and it's 270 to 268, Florida files a lawsuit saying we are materially harmed by the incorrect census and we should have more electoral votes, giving Donald Trump the win.
Yep.
And if the Supreme Court says yes, Trump wins, even though Kamala Harris won on paper. There's also the Fifth Circuit Court. They ruled that ballots received after Election Day it's illegal to count. They didn't stop it, though. If Kamala Harris loses tonight, but at 3 a.m, mail-in votes come in, and I mean literally come in, they say, we're waiting on the mail-in votes. They've already said we're not going to get data till later. Ian pointed out, Maryland said, if your ballot arrives on the 15th, it would be accepted. If the Supreme Court says no, Kamala Harris loses. What happens then if the Democrats say, no, she actually won the vote. She won, but Trump's cronies in the Supreme Court several weeks later overturned it. That would mean that so let's take a look at the poly market requirements. AP, Fox, and NBC have to call the results for one candidate. Let's say mail-in votes come in at 3 a.m. Kamala Harris is declared the winner. Republicans sue to the Supreme Court. AP, Fox, NBC call the election. Kamala Harris wins. 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, whatever, Supreme Court says no, she received ballots after the election day. They are void. Trump then gets inaugurated president. That's a potential scenario. I don't think it's likely, but I got to tell you, I got no effing idea. Nobody thought the country was going to lock down for 2 years either. So everything is in play. Have fun, guys.
Yeah, it's absurd times.
Yeah.
We can't predict absurdity.
No.
I guess this is a little bit of a throwback to the concern about digital voting too, is that I feel like all these votes should be happening in isolation. All these counts should be happening in isolation. Like they should be figuring out theirs, they should be figuring out, and then we all come to one big place and everyone puts their thing in there, and then there's a final tally. Not the whole, hey, how's your vote going along? How's yours going? Hey, we've got this many. How many do you got?
How many do we have to add?
It's happening if it's connected to the internet. These machines, they could just be telling each other like, all right, we can see the shifts and like.
George is at 3%. Kamala Harris has taken the lead. She's at 55 to Trump's 45, but it's completely meaningless because
3%. Yeah.
It's meaningless. Right now, we're looking at Atlanta districts reporting. It means nothing. We've not seen any red districts give any substantial reporting. So if Atlanta suburbs send data in, it's going to look like Kamala's winning, and we'll just have to wait and see. But Georgia is substantive.
Are there states where people vote up until midnight? Right up until the
no, I don't
clock
believe so.
Strikes?
No, I believe New York will be the latest, closing at 9 Eastern. But now with PA extending voting in Cambria County to 10 p.m., oh boy, we're going to be here all night.
Why did they extend?
Because there was a glitch in the system.
Ooh.
Yeah, they say it was quickly fixed. Georgia also had issues where bomb threat hoaxes came in, and so they will be extending hours there as well. I don't know how late it will be going in Georgia.
Now that is a simple piece of terrorism to pull off on a voting company. That's really ridiculous.
Well, and also an easy false flag to pull off, right? So this is one thing that we've seen become a staple of left-wing rhetoric over the last 10 years or so. But essentially, anytime the right has effective rhetoric that persuades people, what the left says is, someone's going to shoot people if you keep saying that. Someone's going to believe that and then shoot people or bomb people if you keep saying that. That is always the argument that they use when they have nothing left to say. Once calling you racist or sexist or transphobic or whatever hasn't been effective, they go to, that's going to incite terrorism, you better not say it.
They'll make you afraid that what your actions are going to harm someone else.
Well, and this is what happened when people were complaining about the fact that 20,000 migrants were dumped in Ohio without the consent of the people who were citizens there. Well, there's bomb threats, there's bomb threats. Those all turned out to be hoaxes, but it doesn't matter. They just keep repeating the lie. Every single time you step out of line with their orthodoxy, someone's going to get shot because of you. Someone's going to get bombed because of you.
Do you think there's reason to believe a third assassination attempt on Trump is a possibility if he wins tonight?
I think it's less likely that there isn't another attempt, unfortunately, at this point.
That's why I was praying for his physical health, and hopefully he's super focused on just hunkering down and staying alive.
We have some data from political polls. Boone County, Indiana is currently reporting with 91%, and Trump is up 10 points. However, in 2020, he was up 18 points.
Oh, wow.
So this is going to be weird.
A long night.
Yeah, so it's still very, very early. That is a bad sign for Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's not a good sign.
Not a good sign.
Virginia's 1%
Trump is currently up in Virginia with
Yeah.
less than 1% reporting. This is the Norfolk Beach, Hampton Roads area, it looks like.
900 votes are counted in Virginia, and he's
I
ahead.
wonder.
It's in play.
I wonder how many.
Nope, not Hampton.
So many people moved in the last 4 years that it's going to change the way we view, the 2020 election numbers too.
Yeah.
This is what people need to understand about 2020 was the mass internal migration because of COVID did change things.
For sure.
And while a lot of people they find the bellwether results to be very suspect, 'cause I think out of there's 19 counties and Trump won 18 but still lost. They said these were never wrong. I do think it's fair to say, yeah, absolutely look into that. This is suspicious. I also think there's a plausible explanation in that 250,000 people moved out of Manhattan who are more moderate to right-leaning because of the COVID policies. Also, many liberals moved out of these places and spread around to various suburbs outside of New York, which were more red, which could dramatically alter what you would expect to see. No one saw this coming. We don't know. I think it's fair to say the Democrats themselves in Time magazine called it a shadow campaign.
There's a cabal.
Their words.
Cabal.
That's
They
right.
used that word.
Not my opinion. They said a cabal engaged in a shadow campaign, which they referred to as a conspiracy.
Yeah, they said Trump said it was a conspiracy theory, and he might not be wrong.
No. They called it a conspiracy.
Right.
I'm gonna pull
fortified
this
the
one up.
election.
This is important.
craziest article.
Because we are not making this up.
Yeah.
Okay. The secret history of the shadow campaign. Y'all need to understand this. I am not saying this to besmirch anybody or push any weird theories. Time magazine ran a story called The Secret History of the Shadow Campaign that saved the 2020 election. In it, they literally say there was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes involving CEOs and politicians and unions to fortify the election. So call it what you want, but no one saw it coming.
Who wrote that, by the way?
That's right.
Molly Ball.
What
The CIA.
was she thinking?
Yep.
Yeah, well,
They
I think what she was,
they always return to the scene of the crime figuratively. I'm saying
Exactly.
this, but they want to brag about the quote unquote. Look, ladies and gentlemen, Time magazine wrote an article claiming that Democrats engaged in a conspiracy with CEOs and unions to fortify the election to stop Trump from winning. Their words, not mine. The article is easily searchable. By all means, you go read it.
and I think to sort of relay out what I was saying earlier, in part it's a humiliation ritual. Like, look, we just did this in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we could get away with.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do about it?
Look what we're able to do.
Yep.
Yep. So we'll see how this goes. Certainly.
It's insane.
All right.
I see
So
somebody
the,
I like in the corner.
DeKalb County response to multiple
Oh, we've
bombings.
got
It's 5 now.
a wise gentleman joining us.